Forza Horizon 5 could be going over to the PlayStation 5. We have some updates about Palworld getting its biggest map ever. Epic Games backs Xbox in their battle against Google and being able to release the Xbox app where you can purchase and play games on your Android devices, which is something that is not surprising because Epic Games is in their own battle of themselves. So we have all that to talk about plus more. If you do enjoy daily gaming music content, make sure to hit that subscribe, share the video, like the video, all of that stuff. So yesterday we talked about a massive Xbox feature, a massive Xbox release in terms of a service that is being blocked currently by the US courts and not allowing Xbox to actually release their Xbox store on Android devices, which would allow you to purchase and play games via this Android app, which I think would be a huge game changer overall because Game Pass is great. Being able to play and stream Game Pass games on your mobile phone or on any device is an awesome feature, but being able to go out there on the Xbox store, browse it, purchase games, all that type of stuff, and then stream them and actually play them anywhere on the go will just make the ecosystem all that more exciting to be able to jump into. And I think from the Xbox perspective, from the business perspective, this, when Play Anywhere comes in with more games and everything, I mean, we're seeing a lot of Square Enix games implemented and we're seeing Atlas games and stuff. So major games have implemented this where you can play it PC, Game Pass, where you can play PC Cloud on your console, all of the stuff after you've purchased the game. Once that starts getting implemented across more games, the Xbox ecosystem is going to be very, very hard to deny if you're trying to decide where do you want to play your games. You go buy it on a platform where you're locked to a singular device, or do you buy it once and be able to play it across many different things? So this is going to be huge when this does finally really fully roll out. And as of right now, it is getting blocked here by the United States courts. Basically what's happening right now is Google has been granted a grace period by the US courts, which allows them to build its case for appeal, which has led to the app being delayed. We talked about it yesterday. We talked about what Sarah Bond laid out into what is happening here. And now Google has responded, and Epic Games, Tim Sweeney, he has responded as well, who's on Xbox's side, basically going to bat and defending Xbox on this entire situation, because we know the battle that Epic has had with Apple and Google and getting the Epic Game Store available in these stores as well, so that you don't have to go through downloading it separate from these stores, which basically if you create an app for iOS or for Android and it's not in the Play Store or the App Store, the chances that people are going to find that app are slim to none. Like almost 100% of people are just looking in those app stores to find those apps. But not doing that kind of defeats the purpose of having these apps on these stores themselves. And a lot of the battle had to do with the percentage of cuts that Apple and Google wants from people actually using the Xbox mobile application and then playing games via the Xbox mobile application and buying games through it. Whereas I believe Xbox doesn't want to give anybody a cut. They just want to be able to put their app on the store. And if users go into that app, purchase a game, they just get all of the revenue themselves. Google has responded here saying, Microsoft has always been able to offer their Android users the ability to play and purchase Xbox games directly from their app. They've simply chosen not to. The court's order and rush to force its implementation threaten Google Play's ability to provide a safe and secure experience. Microsoft, like Epic, are ignoring these very real security concerns and remain focused on supporting an ecosystem that works for everyone, not just two of the largest game companies. So they're saying it's all about security, but I think the reality is they want to be able to have control over this application. They want to be able to still make money off of this application instead of having people go in to the Xbox app and kind of ignore the Google Play side of things. They want to make sure that they're still getting a 30% cut overall every time everybody uses that Xbox app. So they're saying it's about security. I don't really buy it. And now we have Tim Sweeney here from Epic Games here, was also backing Xbox on this entire thing because they are in this battle as well. And Tim Sweeney says this: Google's statement is deceitful. Shame on them. They well know that the 30% cut they demand is far more than all of the profit from game streaming. They know this because they blew hundreds of millions of dollars building the failed Stadia game business themselves. So that is a pretty good rebuttal there, and just kind of trolling them there on Google Stadia, which was an absolute failure. I mean, some people literally bet everything on Google Stadia thinking it was going to be the next big thing, and it just failed miserably. It really just shows how hard it is to break into the gaming industry as a major company against the companies that have already established themselves. And they're like the Microsoft and Xbox and the PlayStation and the Nintendos. Google tried, they failed. And I don't think they're going to try to want to do something like that again. So we'll see what happens here. I mean, this app I think will release. I think Xbox will come out on the other side, but I'm excited for this to eventually be over. These companies, these massive companies, are going at it in court, and at the end of the day, just overall hurting the experience of the consumer, because we could right now be playing and purchasing games on our phone via the Xbox Store, and games that we already own would also be available on this app itself. There's 50 games right now if you go into the Xbox Cloud Gaming app that are not an Xbox Game Pass, but if you purchase them, you can stream, and that's going to eventually flesh out to, I think, pretty much all of the main games here that you do buy, at least all the new games that do come out. So that's going to be an exciting feature for Xbox, and hopefully these things can get worked out sooner rather than later. All right, jumping over here, Microsoft Flight Simulator, as we know, has had a very, very rocky launch. It basically did not work at launch because of the whole cloud streaming stuff that just wasn't working very well. People had to wait in queues for very long before they could actually jump into the game, but it did get working, and people are saying it's one of the most beautiful things that they've seen because of how realistic this game does look, which isn't surprising because when this first released, I believe back in 2020, it looked phenomenal then. So 2024 just gives it a nice upgrade. Good news, the issues have been resolved. The game is now working. And they do say here, in terms of everything that is going on, we are happy to report that the issues regarding access and streaming have been resolved. This is from the Flight Simulator head, Jörg Newman. He says the distribution layer capacity has been increased to handle the immense interest in the simulator, and the reliability is now above 99.99%. Our servers and services are also all performing as expected. He says we are currently preparing another patch for the week of December 2nd with further stability improvements and other fixes. And subsequently, we are planning on providing a third larger patch during the week of December 9th. So game is working now, which is a good thing. I think this really does show, I mean, it shows two things. First of all, the amount of demand for Flight Simulator 2024 was probably just so big that their servers got overloaded. The other thing is you would have thought that they would have expected this game to have such a huge demand. There is a massive group of people that love the Flight Simulator game, and Flight Simulator 2024 looked very promising before its launch. So of course, a lot of people are going to want to jump in. You think they would have been ready with these servers and everything, so that this did not happen. I wonder how big of an effect this will have on people going back to it if they weren't able to get in. I think if you're a fan of Flight Simulator, it's something that you've been looking forward to. Now that these servers are fixed, you're more than likely going to still go back in and try it and just see how beautiful and realistic this game can look with the technology that they have put into Flight Simulator. I'm not a big fan. I mean, I don't really play it. I played these games way back in the day. I just kind of fallen off of playing the Flight Simulator games, but I think I'll jump in just to look at it, just to go through a couple flights and just see how beautiful this game does look graphically with the whole cloud streaming tech that is being used to make it look that good. Now, if you're a fan of Palworld, we have some more information here of the next island and next update to this game that is going to be happening. They say it's 6 times bigger than its previous map expansion, specifically saying here that the new mysterious island is the largest and harshest in Palworld's history. The island is about 6 times the size of Sakurajima, which has added in the last major update. Powerful tower bosses and many vicious new species of pals lurk here. A large amount of new content will also be added. So huge map, continuing to make Palworld a success. They basically, I would say, kind of beat the Nintendo lawsuit. I mean, just in the sense that it looks like they were only looking for a little bit of money. It was like $68,000 or something like that. So even if that doesn't go in their way, it doesn't really matter. I mean, $68,000 now to Palworld and Pocket Pair after the success of this game is probably pennies. So they are going to be continuously making this game bigger and better, and this will continue to be a massive success going forward. Because it could have been a lot worse if they were demanding a lot more money and then they went on and won that lawsuit. Who knows what would have happened to the future of this game, but Palworld, it looks like it's going to be here to stay. All right, let's talk about this one is very funny, in my opinion, and not surprising at all because of basically who it's coming from. And this is Tencent releasing a game that literally looks like the exact copy of Horizon. Everything from the artwork to the enemies to the players, everything about this game looks like an exact copy. This was announced. Light of Motoram, whatever you say it. And it is a game here. You can see some of the pictures. Is a third-person action game where you're fighting robot enemies and you're playing as a female protagonist, but literally looks the exact same if you compare it to some of the Horizon screenshots that were put out for Horizon. And a lot of people were questioning, how did this get through? Did they think this was a good idea? And will Sony end up suing them? So it says here that Light of Motoram is developed by Polaris Quest, a subsidiary of Tencent. And the game is described as an open world adventure set in a land where human civilization was created to exist. The world is inhabited by mechanical animals known as mech animals, including a large gorilla, deer, and bull. And they specifically say here in the game description, facing primal civilizations, unpredictable weather, and lurking mechanimals, you must make the most of every resource to maintain your survival. The gameplay, they say, appears to have some elements not found in Horizon series, such as co-op multiplayer and the ability to craft shelters. The game has nevertheless been criticized on social media, with many accusing it of taking more than a little inspiration from Guerrilla Games. I mean, you take a look at the pictures, even like the protagonists themselves. They could have went with a male protagonist and that would have been a little bit different. But they went literally with the exact same thing here for this game. And it looks like it is a carbon copy. Yes, there will be mechanics of this game that I think are going to be different, like the survival aspects of it, the crafting of it, as they do say here, that will definitely be different, and that may get them out of hot water here. And even if PlayStation does sue, maybe they can just argue here that it is a different game. It just looks similar. Who knows? But on Reddit, people are saying this. That is shameless. Like if they at least changed the colors, made the plating chrome instead of white, made the good lights green, bad lights purple, maybe they could slip by without people's eyebrows raising into the stratosphere. But come on. This other user says, hey, you guys remember when people were telling Nintendo to sue Palworld for ripping off their game? Yeah, Guerrilla should absolutely be looking into some legal action, because holy shit, that's blatant. I mean, I have to agree with most of those sentiments. It looks very blatant here that they are at least copying the art style of it. We'll have to wait and see with the gameplay, how similar it does look and feel, but it looks like a carbon copy here that Tencent is just going out there and funding and not really thinking the consequences, I would assume. Tencent, they're continuing to expand. They're going to be a huge player here going forward. I mean, they already are a huge player, but they're going to be even bigger, as we saw the other day that they're also making a handheld here. So they want to compete with the likes of Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo. Tencent is going to be massive in the future of video games. They're going to be another company here. When everyone thinks about the big three, I think Tencent should be added in there as now the big four of video games. And they will continue to do stuff like this, especially if they get away with it. Hogwarts Legacy 2 is in development. We do know that. There was a controversy with the first one, which obviously backfired immensely on the activists that were trying to get that game canceled, as it became the best-selling game. But now there is a petition going around here that people are worried here that it is going to be a live service game, which could ruin, I mean, how with the magic of the first Hogwarts Legacy was. The first game was phenomenal. And to be honest, I really don't want them to turn this into a live service game. It says here, a petition looking to keep Hogwarts Legacy 2 from being a live service game is still getting new signatures, with 8,831 individuals having signed so far. It is confirmed to be in development, but we have no other details on this. I guess people are just kind of preparing that it is going to be announced as a live service game. As we know, these companies that put these games out, the developers probably don't really want to make them live service, but the publishers are like, we need to make continuous dollars off of this game. We need to make more money than we made last time. How can we do that? Well, nickel and diming people over a long period of time. And honestly, with an IP like Harry Potter, you probably could make this a live service game and people will spend tons of money on it, and they'll make way more money than they did with Hogwarts Legacy, the first one. If the gameplay is there and it's fun, they will probably end up making a ton of money off of live service. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case for Hogwarts Legacy 2, to be completely honest. We'll see. I mean, maybe the amount of signatures will get so big that it does bring a little attention. I just don't think it will really have a major effect on the game itself. Okay, as we know, the future is multi-platform, and Xbox has taken the charge on this whole multi-platform strategy with putting multiple games on PlayStation, their direct rival in terms of the console. And it looks like they aren't slowing down anytime soon. I mean, people are still asking about what game is going to be coming next. Phil Spencer has literally said the same thing over the last while about what the strategy is. A lot of people like to make spin on every time he says something and think it's brand new news. But if you've been following and you have any sort of common sense, Xbox has been saying that after those 4 games, there's going to be more. We just have to evaluate how those do. And then we're going to look at different games and how we think they will do on Xbox. And from what we have seen, live service games have done very well on PlayStation. And you would think that a game like Forza Horizon would be one of those games that they think will do well on the console itself and eventually will go over to the PlayStation platform. Well, we have a rumor here going around. It was not surprising. You always see rumors about these Xbox games. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but this one would not surprise me if it did happen. That is Forza Horizon 5 potentially going over to the PlayStation 5. This says here, this is from a post shared on Gaming Leaks and Rumors by user Ice Popsicle Dragon and Ecstasies, saying that Forza Horizon 5 has already been ported to the PS5, but its release was halted, not canceled, last summer. Of course, considering that it's a game that could work very well, it will arrive. I don't know when, but it will arrive. So thinks here that it's definitely arriving and that the game is already been ported to the PlayStation 5. But it definitely makes you ask, if it's been ported to the PlayStation 5, it is just sitting there. They put all that development time to get it over. Why aren't they just releasing it? Because, I mean, it's going to sell well regardless. I don't think it really matters when they put Forza Horizon 5 on PS5. It is going to sell tons of copies. It's going to be like CFD. It's going to be on top of the charts of the PlayStation 5. At least that's what I think. And you would think, why are they holding this back? And the only thing I could think of is that they are kind of judging overall the effect that this does have on the Xbox brand. And maybe they're rethinking what type of games go over to Xbox. Maybe they are really thinking that their first party content that isn't Bethesda or Activision Blizzard stays off of the PlayStation 5 platform. Maybe they're seeing more of a hit to the brand than they previously would have thought. So who knows? Who knows if that is the case or not, but they are saying here that it is going to land on PlayStation, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does eventually land on the PlayStation 5 console. On the video there, guys, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.